Okay, welcome everyone. We are so happy to have you here at the Fast and Easy Meal Planning Workshop. So we kind of all have to eat, right? So I'm pretty sure we all need to plan some kind of meals. And I don't know about you, but my life and my days just go by so much better if I have a clear plan of what I'm going to make for dinner. And if I have no clue, that can just like kind of overtake my life. So I'm so glad you all are here to hear about this. Just a couple notes to mention is that if you, at any point, if you lose the video, refreshing your screen and hitting play often helps. And also, if you want to adjust the video quality, you can do that for yourself by kind of mousing over the video, and there's a little cogwheel in the bottom right. And that way, people have reported that adjusting those settings can help the clarity of the video a lot. Other than that, sometimes your internet, if it's not super fast, the video will be a little fuzzy. Unfortunately, there's not a ton we can do about that, but we will be sending out a replay of this. It'll be available until Sunday night. So if you missed part of it or something, you will be able to watch the replay. And at any point, feel free to chat amongst yourselves in the chat. I'd love to hear, some of you are telling me already where you're from. Go ahead and put that in the chat. And if at any point you have questions, go ahead and pop them in. I will be copying them down. And then at the end, we'll have time for questions. We're going to keep it to probably less than 30 minutes. And then we'll have time for questions because we know you all are quite busy. And in case you don't know me, I'm Laura from the iHeartPlanners blog. I've been blogging there for about 4.5 years, and I blog about home organizing, planning, and my absolute favorite is to create pretty printables. And I've invited Megan here. She blogs at the Homes I Have Made, and seriously, like, you guys know I don't say this about everyone, but she has one of my favorite blogs on the internet. She just makes the most beautiful printables, and I love all the things that she does with labels and her Cricut machine. And so if you ever want some organizing inspiration, be sure to hop over to the Homes I Have Made blog. But I will go ahead and let her show you her quick and easy meal planning process.
Thanks, Laura. Hi, everyone. This is Megan from the Homes I Have Made, and I am so excited to be joining Laura today. As you can probably already tell, we're going to be doing things a little different. You're not going to get a lot of slides from us today. I'm actually going to be showing you some fun printables and how to use them here live in person. Just a quick bit about me. Like Laura said, I blog at thehomesahavemade.com, and we are a military family. So my blog is all about making each rental house that we live in over the years a functional home and a pretty home, both through organization projects and decor projects. And like Laura, one of my favorite things to do is to utilize printables to streamline our systems. When I became a mom 6 years ago, meal planning quickly became necessary because I don't know about you, but I hate grocery shopping. Little one in tow became even worse. Ever since then, I have created a series of systems to help me make meal planning and grocery shopping a little easier. And what I'm showing you today is really kind of the refinement of all of those systems over the years and kind of whittling down what works and what doesn't work into something that I truly believe makes meal planning so much easier and quicker. And I'm super excited to show it to you today. The system that I'm going to show is kind of all in this book, and it's what I call my all-in-one kitchen binder. And inside it is a whole host of printables that I have designed and created, and that's called the Ultimate Kitchen Printable Pack. And I'll be referring to that a lot, and Laura will be talking at the end of the broadcast about how you can get your hands on it. What I want to do today is first give you a tour of my binder and what all is inside. And then I'm actually going to show you how I create a meal plan and a grocery list from start to finish using everything in this book. And then I also want to throw in kind of some fun meal planning and grocery shopping tips that maybe I don't necessarily use, but I've heard and think are really great ideas. My binder is just a regular old binder. I actually found this cute one on clearance at Michael's, but any binder will work. In fact, if you just want to grab a clear pocket binder, in my kit, I provide all sorts of printable covers in every color, a bunch of colors, I guess, and with different sayings and different designs that you could just slide right into any binder that you have. But mine is this kind of pretty gold one, and when you open to the inside of it, you'll see that I have dozens and dozens of page protectors holding all sorts of wonderful goodies. The front part of my binder is what I call my kitchen resource section, and there's another cover that I use just to make it fun and pretty. And then behind that are 6 tabs that are all of my recipes. Excuse me just a minute.
Aw.
I've got my 3-month-old little assistant with me today. Sorry about that. Behind each tab are all of my recipes sorted into page protectors. And I will talk about these tabs and these category sections in just a minute. So first, I want to show you the different things I have behind my kitchen resource section. In the very front is a whole host of pre-printed weekly meal planners. I have about 14 different meal planners available in my kit. Everything from weekly meal planners, week down the side, bi-weekly, 1 week at a time, all the way to monthly meal planners. I provide different options so that you can find the one that you really like to use. The one I like is just a basic meal planner. I'll show you more detail in a few minutes with the list of meals down the side. Behind that is another whole stack of worksheets, and these are the grocery lists that I like. So again, I include all sorts of different grocery list options, and I think there's 7 different layouts. And this is the one I like because it includes the meals across the top and then different sections for the grocery store. So moving on from that, I have a 2-page spread. Hopefully you can see it here. I have a 2-page spread of all of my recipes. So here I want to talk a little bit about my recipe categories. I have found over the years that I like to organize my recipes by protein type. I've had a lot of people sorry about that. The baby doesn't want to cooperate. So I have had a lot of people ask me if they can add more categories or less categories, but the key is really making your recipes quick and easy to find. And I have found that these 6 categories make it very quick and intuitive. And so my categories are poultry. Let me scoot this over so you can see it. Poultry, beef and pork, vegetarian and seafood recipes, and then sides and salads and desserts. Having 6 recipe categories, again, makes it super quick and super easy to just think about what kind of recipe you're looking for and finding the right category quickly. All of my printables are designed around these categories. So if those categories don't work for you, you can still use some of the other printables to kind of make this system work for you in a similar way. But what this 2-page spread is essentially an index of all of my recipes organized by categories, and they all color coordinate and correspond to the tabs along the side. The next page is actually one more recipe inventory that I like to have on hand. It breaks out both my crock pot recipes and my freezer-friendly recipes. And I like this for 2 reasons. There are times when we need a crock pot recipe on hand. And instead of trying to remember through all of these which recipes work in the crock pot, I like having a quick list that I can refer to of crock pot recipes that we like, so I can add them into our meal plan when I need it. The freezer-friendly recipes are kind of the same thing. I like to make at least 1 freezer-friendly recipe a week, and I make it in double so that we eat it once that week, and then I put it in the freezer. And so having this quick list of things that I know freeze really well allows me to quickly and easily add these kinds of recipes to our weekly meal plan. Behind that is another 2-page spread. I don't know about you, but there are certain things in the kitchen that I am always looking up. I'm always looking up how to have a certain measurement, like 1/3 a cup. I'm always looking that up. Or certain equivalents for fresh herbs and dried herbs. What I did is I took kind of some of those normal things that we look up all the time, and I put them into a nice, pretty 2-page spread that I can kind of quickly, when I'm making dinner, I can quickly flip to it and not have to do math at the end of a long, busy day when I've got kids pulling on my legs. Behind that, I have a freezer inventory. So I provide in my kit pantry inventories, spice inventories, refrigerator inventories, freezer inventories, and lots of different layout options. But the beautiful thing about this system is you can really print what you want and use what you're going to need. I don't see myself maintaining a really detailed pantry inventory, even though I provide it, but I do like having my freezer inventory on hand, and this is why. I also like to cook, pull out a freezer meal once a week, and I like to be able to kind of see what I have in the freezer so that I can add it to my meal plan. Literally last week, I didn't have this updated, and I went and bought the ingredients to make a bunch of taco meat for lots of different meals, and then discovered I actually had 2 full meals of taco meat already ready to go. So I really like having our freezer meals and prepared foods on the inventory. But of course, I have worksheets to track everything else should you want it. Another thing I do find helpful, even though I don't need a detailed pantry inventory, I have a back to front pantry and spice inventory for staples. These are those vinegars, sauces, grains, sugars, things that you just kind of keep all the time. And when you're going through making your meal plan, if you see that a recipe calls for white wine vinegar, instead of having to jump up and go look for it, I can just see that I have it. The thing with these is that you have to update them. So if you use up all the white wine vinegar, you need to kind of scoop this out, and that's why I use pencil, and just erase it. And then you can add it to your grocery list, which I'll show you how I do that in a minute. But I like just kind of having a quick glance of some of the pantry staples that I keep on hand all the time. And then the last thing I use in my kitchen resource section are some pre-printed labels. Like I said, I like to make freezer meals at least once a week. I don't do batch cooking, but I just double something that I'm already making that can go in the freezer. And instead of just my kitchen scratch being right on the bag itself, I can use these pre-printed labels that are sticky, and I can just write the directions, the date, the servings, the name of the recipe, and these can go right onto my dish or right onto my Ziploc bag or freezer tin and go right into the freezer. So I don't have to refer back to the recipe when it comes time to actually pull the recipe out and cook it. The other thing I have in here, hopefully you can see it, are a bunch of stickers. As I'm sure a lot of you, and I know Laura is too, kind of a planner junkie, and it's always fun to add fun and whimsical decorative things to things like this just to make it more fun. So what I designed is a series of stickers that print right onto Avery labels, and they're just fun descriptors for recipes, feed the crowd, quick and easy, less than 10 ingredients, kind of a fun way to label your recipes. And so when you're flipping through them looking for something, there's one right there, it says feed the crowd, you can kind of look for certain types of recipes. So that is what's in the front of my kitchen binder. Again, I have honestly probably every inventory and label you could possibly need so that when you're building your grocery list, you wouldn't have to leave your chair. I know for me, I don't want this to feel burdensome or cumbersome, so I don't want an inventory for every last thing in my pantry. I just use these ones to kind of keep track of what we've got in the house. So real quick, showing you what's behind my divider. So if you've ever put anything in page protectors, you know that dividers kind of get stuck in there. So my kit also includes basically print and cut dividers. There's cover sheets, and then I have tabs that all match the colors and match the font of everything else included in the kit. And you can literally just create your own little dividers that look cute. You just wrap packing tape around the edge of them to give them some durability in the kitchen. And I can easily see where all of my recipes are. Behind the recipe divider, I have all of my recipes. Whenever I find something in a magazine, whenever I see something online, that's what this one is. These are my mom's recipes that she printed out for me. Anything, here's some recipe cards. Any recipe I have, I load onto a piece of cardstock and basically load into my binder, into the right category by protein type. And as you get to use your binder more, you can probably flip to recipes pretty quick and kind of know, I mean, this is one of our favorites that we make all the time. My hands almost know exactly where it is. So any recipe that I have gets printed out and put in here. And then just to show you at the very, very back, back behind my desserts, I have a whole series of empty page protectors. And the reason I have those is I want this to be flexible and modular as much as I need it to be. So when I find a new recipe that I love or want to try, I don't have to leave it taped up on the fridge for a week until I find the time to go dig out a page protector. I can literally add it to my binder and put it in immediately. So that is just a quick tour of my all-in-one kitchen binder using just a smidgen of the printables I have included in the Ultimate Kitchen printable pack. And now what I want to show you is actually how I use this and the tools I've created to literally plan our meals for the week without almost leaving my chair. I can't say that I don't ever leave my chair, but I come pretty close. I hate meal planning and I hate grocery shopping. I said that before, but like Laura, our household and dinner time works so much better if I have a plan. We eat out less, we spend less money, and our pantry isn't overcrowded with a bunch of food we're not eating because I shop weekly for our meals. What I do, so this is going to kind of be a circular process. I'm going to start and come right around to the end. These are the two worksheets that I use. I think I showed you already. And what I do is I take my weekly plan and my grocery list to my refrigerator just like this. So I have, this is basically our family calendar for the week. I have a list of meals that I'm going to make for the week. And then I essentially have an empty grocery list. Now, this is last week's. So you'll see that there's already some things on it. That's because as I use up things throughout the week, I have a blank grocery list ready to go that I can add things to as we run out of them or as I think about them. So last week we ran out of food coloring because I went to dye eggs and we didn't have any food coloring. So I used the neighbors. So I added food coloring to our list and I ran out of contact lens solution. So when I sit down on Monday mornings, we're going to pretend it's Monday morning, to plan our meals for the week, I essentially go untake both of these from my refrigerator and I go sit down with my all-in-one kitchen binder. From the very front of my binder, I pull out two things. I pull out my weekly planner, and again, this is the one I like. I've got lots of different options, but basically this is a plan of our week and then meals that are not assigned to a specific day, just a list of meals that I'm going to shop for. And then the other thing I'm going to grab is a clean grocery list. Now this one is actually for next week, so I'm going to set this one aside. That one's going to be the blank one that gets taped to the refrigerator. I'm going to use this last one that was from last week that has the things I'm already populating. I hope that makes sense. I think it'll make sense as we kind of come around. Then I flip open to my recipes. Now, I grabbed last week's meal plan for a reason. One of the reasons I really like this layout specifically is I'm the type of person that doesn't necessarily need a meal assigned to a specific day. I just want to be able to shop for a set of meals and have those ingredients on hand. So if we are feeling like ham and not feeling like a stir fry, I can swap things around pretty easily. And then I can check things off as we make them. Now there's times, and I'm sure we've all experienced this, that you don't make everything that you shopped for, whether something makes more than you expected, so you actually have a good amount for leftovers, or you end up going out or ordering pizza when you weren't expecting it. Case in point, last week I did not make this Thai peanut chicken and I did not make spaghetti and meatballs. So what I'm going to do is the very first thing I'm going to do is transfer those two meals to my new meal plan. And the reason I do that is because I have already shopped for all those ingredients. So they are all already in my refrigerator and pantry, so I don't need to shop for them again. This means that I'm not buying for meals that I'm not making, and I'm using up ingredients that I already have. I'm done with this sheet, so this one can now get tossed away. The next thing I do is I take our weekly plan. Let me open up my calendar here. I usually use my phone, but we're streaming on my phone. So I keep all of our calendars and appointments on our phone. So to transfer them so that everybody's on the same page and everybody knows what they're talking about, I use basically my digital calendar and transfer it to our week. So real quickly, I'll just look at my calendar and I will just populate the calendar with everything I have. So I know my son has school every day. Don't need to look at the calendar for that. Wednesday is short day Wednesday. I can even do this with a baby in my hand. So, on Sunday, my son has Bible school, and we always go to Mass at 9 a.m. Then there's some other things I use my calendar. I know on Wednesdays he has his gymnastics class. I call it Ninja Warrior. And again, just using my digital calendar here, I know that I have a doctor's appointment here. And I also know that we have, that's at 3, and I know we have a meeting at 6 p.m. at night. There's a family meeting. The reason I like to combine my weekly planner with my meals is that your week directly influences your meals, right? So on Tuesday nights, we get home pretty late from my son's Ninja Warrior class. So those are the nights that I need a 20-minute meal or I need something in the crock pot that morning. Thursday night, we have a meeting, so I know I don't need to cook dinner that night. So I can already scratch one meal off our meal plan. From here, I can then build out the rest of my meals. And what I do is I refer to my recipe index. The reason I really like my recipe index is it keeps me from having to page through all my recipes. You certainly can do that, but I really like having just a one-shot glance of all of my recipes. So I can just kind of fill this list. It reminds me of things I haven't made in a while. It reminds me of things that sound good. And again, the reason I really like my different categories is I can essentially pull a recipe from each column, and then I'm guaranteed to have a spread of recipe types throughout the week. We're not having chicken every night. We're not having tacos every night or ground beef every night. So what I try to do is I try to pull a recipe from each column, obviously not desserts necessarily. And then I also try to pull crock pot and freezer-friendly recipes as I need them. So already I have Thai peanut chicken and spaghetti and meatballs on my list. I'm just gonna grab, I have not pre-done this at all. That's a chicken dish, that's a beef dish. Let me grab a veggie dish. We'll do the corn chowder. And with things like that, I always make a salad. For Tuesday night, the Thai peanut chicken is actually super fast. So that'll satisfy Tuesday night in the meeting when I have. Let me make sure I get a freezer recipe on here real quick. Let's make meatloaf this week. And then what I do to remind myself is I always do a ×2 to remind myself to make double and to get double the ingredients. That will go in the freezer. And then let me just, I don't have a seafood recipe. And I don't have, this is rice. And sometimes I like to just look, this is rice, this is noodles. This would probably is a starchy soup with probably rolls, and that would have potatoes. So sometimes I like to see what else I need. Let's do, I have the noodles. Let's do a tacos. Tacos are always easy. And then I will say on Saturday nights, we almost always grill, almost always. So this is where sometimes I will refer to my freezer inventory to see what we have in the freezer. I don't have the meats listed, so I can kind of pick anything. Sometimes we have some leftover steak, sometimes we have some leftover brats or sausages. So I think this week we'll have steak and we'll have potatoes. So there I've planned out 6 meals for our week. There's a variation of proteins, a variation of starchy sides. And from here, I can move forward into building our grocery list. So I grabbed my grocery list that has been sitting on my refrigerator for the whole week. And what I do is I like to transfer these meals to my grocery list. It's certainly not necessary, but if you're out and you find something that's on sale or they're out of something, like a specific ingredient, you can scratch that whole recipe and you can look at your list and be like, oh, I needed that for that meal, and I needed that for that meal. So I just like having those meals reflected there. So I literally just scratch these on. Sorry if my handwriting is a little fuzzy. Spaghetti and meatballs. And again, even though I have the days here, which you can certainly use if you like to plan by day, I'm just scratching them in just because that's how the worksheet is designed. Corn soup and salad, meatloaf, tacos, one's an out, and then one is steak and potatoes. Now, this can get set aside because that's going to now get taped to my refrigerator with my blank grocery list for next week. So I'm done with those. And now I have everything I need to build our grocery list. Recipe by recipe. So Thai peanut chicken. I go to my recipe tab. Like I said, we make that one all the time. So I can typically flip right to it, although here. And I just add the ingredients. So it takes spaghetti. It takes peanut butter, honey, soy sauce. These are all in the dry goods section of my grocery store. It takes lime, so I'm gonna put that over in produce. Hot pepper sauce. And garlic, which I'm gonna put over here in produce. Now, I'm not gonna bore you as I sit here and basically fill out my entire grocery list, although I will if you guys do wanna see how quickly it can go. But one thing I wanna emphasize here is I personally put everything on the list, even if I know that we have it. And this is why. I mean, you're probably all nodding your head in agreement when I say I build my grocery list and, oh, I don't need to add honey to my list. I know we have it. And then you go to make your recipe and somebody used up all the honey making tea. Who knows? I have done that so many times. and it is so infuriating when you spend all this time making a meal plan and a grocery list that matches to come home and find out that you don't have ingredients. So what I like to do is I put every single ingredient that I need for all of these recipes, unless it's really something I know we have, like olive oil or that kind of thing. But even then, I like to double check and make sure that I have what I need. I basically go across the board and fill out my whole grocery list. Again, just flipping to the right recipe. Spaghetti meatballs, I don't need a recipe for, that's just meatballs from the freezer. And that one uses spaghetti too, so I already have that on my list, and spaghetti sauce. And we always like to have salad with that, so I'll grab a salad. And sometimes I'll just do like a little X, and I'll leave that blank that I can just kind of add as I go across here. So even though this just has my recipe name, I always like to think about the size and things that I'll serve with it and make sure I add those on my grocery list as well. Obviously, if I had a side dish in here, I would need to add those ingredients too. So let's pretend that my grocery list is fully filled out. It is at this point that I will get up and I will go to my pantry and I will go through my fridge and my freezer. And what I will do is I will check. I'm doing two things at the same time. I will check this list for things that I already have. So I know that I've got spaghetti, and let's say that I find spaghetti sauce, and I know I've got soy, and I see my soy sauce on my cupboard there. I will go ahead and scratch those things off. I then will also populate the list with things that are not recipe related. So our cereal, things for my son's lunches, or snacks and cookies that we like to have. Those obviously aren't reflected in my recipes. So at that point, when I'm going through making, seeing what we have here, I will go ahead and add other things that we need. Once my grocery list is full, oh, just a note here, this is also where I can, instead of getting up, if you wanted to fill out a bunch of different inventories and keep those maintained, a pantry inventory, a fridge and freezer inventory, of which I provide, you could do all of that sitting at your seat. I can look and say, oh, I have taco meat, so I don't need to buy ground beef, scratch ground beef off my list. So I have provided everything that you really could plan everything from your seat. Although I just have to caution that make sure you are keeping inventories that you find valuable and that you find efficient. There's really no point in making more work for yourself if you don't need to. For me, I would rather just walk through the pantry real quick and scratch off everything off my list than try to maintain a pantry inventory throughout the week. All right, so from here, my grocery list is made. This is going to the grocery store with me, so that goes into my purse. I'm done with my binder. Like I said, on my refrigerator, I take a brand new clean grocery list that I have set aside. I take the weekly meal plan that I just planned, and I tape it to my refrigerator just like this to start the week. Sitting right in front of me so everyone can see what kind of appointments we have, what kind of meals we have the options for, and if we run out of anything, we can add it to our list. And the reason I like having this kind of scratched out in front of me is every morning when I am grabbing the milk for my son's cereal, I can look at it and say, okay, let's have meatloaf tonight. And I can pull out the beef from the freezer. Or, oh, we're having a crock pot meal. Let me pull that stuff out and make sure I get that going so that it's not 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I go, oh shoot, I was supposed to put everything in the crock pot. This is a really great way to make sure that your meal plan is in front of you all the time. It's a really flexible system, and then you can just check things off as you go. So that is how I basically sit down and plan our week's meals in a really quick system. I literally, Monday is our grocery shopping day because Tuesday is our trash day. So it's a great time to empty the fridge and get all of that, all the extra boxes and bags that come with new groceries out to the curb. And I literally sit down while I'm eating my morning breakfast and hash it all out. And I can get it done usually by the time I'm done with a cup of coffee. So even though that is my specific system, I did want to share just a few more quick ideas that maybe the system doesn't jive exactly for you. And here's some other things that I have done in the past, or I've had other people tell me about. One of them, which I think is a brilliant idea, is let's say this is a meal plan that you filled out and it's filled with all sorts of groceries. I had a reader recommend saving these. Don't necessarily cross them out, maybe just do little check marks or things next to them. And what that does is if you don't have the time to sit down and do a meal plan, you could grab one of these right out of your binder, keep them in the back of your binder or in another tab, And you've got basically 7 days worth of meals and all the corresponding groceries, because like I said, you added all of those ingredients when you filled out the list, not necessarily the ones that you were out of. So I think that's a great plan, that if you don't cross these out, just save these from week to week. And to make that a little more logistically friendly, you could take a grocery list that you filled out and just load it into a page protector. And then if you use a dry erase marker as you're going to the store, or even any regular marker, you can just cross stuff out as you buy it. You get to the end of your grocery trip, you're done. You can save that grocery list, fill with all of your ingredients, and just wipe off the page protector. Another tip that I really love is having kind of a grocery list of your common stuff. This is actually something that I need to incorporate. This is another one I would imagine a lot of you guys are shaking your head in agreement that how many times you build your list, you go to the grocery store, you get everything, you get home, and you forgot paper towels, you forgot sponges, you forgot shampoo and conditioner, things that weren't in your pantry, weren't in your fridge or freezer, weren't in your recipes, and you kind of forgot to check for them. You could take one of these grocery lists. So here's just another example of my a grocery list that I have available in my kit. This one's just organized a little differently and has little check boxes. You could fill this inventory with things that you always keep stocked. Not necessarily that you always buy, but things that you always need to keep stocked. And you can either visually or get up and walk through the house and make sure that you've got everything you need. This is just a visual reminder to check for Ziploc bags, check for tinfoil, check for vitamins to see if you need to add them for your list. This is something that you could even load into a page protector and leave in your binder and never check off any boxes, but it's just a visual reminder of things that you need to make sure you always keep in your house. I think that was kind of the last of my little tips. And the one thing I just wanted to mention is I personally like having everything in a single binder. But if you're really the type that likes to have things super organized, my kit does provide everything you could possibly need. I have recipe cards, I have dividers for coupons, I have dividers for all of your inventories. Anything you could possibly need to make this binder, or even a series of binders, as robust as possible, everything there is cut or print cut and ready to go. So I think that is kind of the end of my little piece. And Laura, if you want to jump back in here.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Megan. I feel so inspired to make sure that I am meal planning, and I just love your binder and how organized it is. And I took your Ultimate Kitchen printable pack, and I love how you included like everything in it that you would need, but you don't have to use every single page. Like you said, you don't use the pantry inventory because that's not actually helpful to you. So I love how you recognize that like everyone kind of has different needs and things that work better for them. So you can kind of pick and choose what exactly works for you. And I love how you can do it in just a few minutes a week. So I think everyone can see my screen now. I want to tell you how you can get this Ultimate Kitchen printable pack so that you can use it to plan your meals for yourself. And we're going to get to the Q&A in just a minute. So if you do have any questions, feel free to go ahead and pop them in the window in the chat box, and we'll get to those in just a minute. So if you want to get the Ultimate Kitchen printable pack that Megan talked about, she usually sells it on her website for $22, but I'm going to show you how you can get it and thousands, like literally thousands of other pages of printables for just $20. So you may be familiar with the Sweet Life Planner Club. That is my club that has literally, like I said, thousands of pages of printables. And right now, until like an hour ago, it had been closed since basically January. You couldn't even get in, but I have opened it up through Sunday night only, just for you all to be able to get in the club. And then when you join the club, if you're already in the club, or if you join today, Megan has agreed to put her Ultimate Kitchen printable pack in the club, so you can download it, and it'll be in there until the end of this month. So if you join the club today, you will also get the Ultimate Kitchen printable pack. So I just want to tell you a little bit about the club. So when you click that button, there's a button right here. It says, yes, I want to join the club. Just below the video, it will take you to this page that says, talks about the Sweet Life Planner Club, and it really explains what all is involved in the club. It has, in addition to printables, we have a lot of special bonuses. We also have a lot of video workshops to kind of show you how to do things. I have one on like how to create your own planner stickers. I have one on how I organize my recipes. It doesn't really cover meal planning as much. And then we will also put the replay of this exact video that you just watched. We're gonna put that in the club, and it'll be in there indefinitely. So if you feel like in a couple months or next year you want to go back and take a refresher, it'll be there for you. So we just put together a resource to really help you get your life organized, and we want it to be fun. I know it can seem kind of boring sometimes, like planning, organizing. So that's why we have made just all sorts of different fun printables to try to make organizing fun. And so all you would do is click on one of these buttons here. There's two options. You can join for $20 a month, and there's no commitment at all. Once you join, you're free to cancel at any time, no minimum commitment. And you can join for the $20 a month, or you can join for $199 a year. Either way, you still get the extra printable pack. And if you choose to join for $199 a year, not only will you save over $40 over the course of the year, but you will also get a couple extra bonuses. My very popular Create Your Own Printables course that I normally sell for $49, you'll get that for free right away. You'll get it in an email as soon as you join, and you'll also get we make for you a customized 102-page annual planner. So you can choose whatever color you want. You can choose from our we kind of like give you a few color suggestions, or any color you want. You can tell us what you want. And some other different layouts. We can customize it with like your family's names and things like that. And you'll get a link to a form as soon as you sign up. You'll get it in an email to fill that out, and then within a week, we will email you your planner that you can print yourself. Again, this is only valid until Sunday, and then the doors to the club will close. And I'm not sure exactly when they'll open back up, but oh, and the other thing I wanted to show you is how to get access to if you sign up for the club right now, how you can get access to the printable kit that Megan just showed you. So when you go into the club and you click on the printables tab, this is what it looks like. And you can see how many, I mean, like I can't scroll down to the bottom of this. There are a ridiculous amount. We've tried to make them easy for you to search for, easy for you to find. But right here, we put it right here at the very top. So if you're joining right now, it'll be really easy for you to find. You'll just click on that. I'm going to open that in a new tab and go here. It clicks a download now. And everything she showed you, you will get the PDF file for. Also, I wanted to go ahead and show you, I've opened the meal planning part of the club here, and you can see if you're interested in, like, maybe you want something that's more pink and purple, a different color of meal planner, a different size. We offer our printables in personal size, half size, full size, happy planner size, mini happy planner size. So all the sizes you could want. And if you don't know what those are, do not worry. You can just go, if you just want a regular size, click there and just look at those. But if you do know what those are, you'll probably be excited because I know some of those sizes are really hard to find. So one of my personal favorites, this is like probably my personal favorite one. I just love how colorful it is, and how, many different ways there are of putting together your own binder. So if you want to do that, this is definitely what you want to do. So go ahead and here's one. Somebody asked about half size. Like, for example, in the club, here's one that we have available in half size. And we also take requests in the club. So you click right here and you put in a request. So if you say you look at this and you're like, oh, I love this, but I really want this to be in full size, put in a request, and we add new things, multiple things usually every single week. And we always start with our requests so that we can get as many of your requests in there as possible. So go ahead, if you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and I will go ahead and answer your questions now. And there were some that came during the webinar. We'll also answer those. Yes, Barbie, existing members get this as well. And one other thing I wanted to mention, if you have already bought the Ultimate Kitchen printable pack, but you want to get the club and get that deal, we will send you an email. You'll get it just to the people who've already purchased it, and we'll give you a coupon code for about the value of the bundle so that you'll basically be able to get the same deal. So if you have already bought the kitchen printable pack from Megan and you really want to get in the club, watch for an email and we'll let you do that. All right. Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and answer this question, then we'll go to the ones. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Anything about meal planning or the recipe binders or anything about the club, go ahead and put it in the chat box. Somebody said, do you offer UK sizes, A4, A5, etc.? I not offer specific A4 and A5 sizes, but when I'm creating my half size, I purposefully make sure that they print well to A5 as well, and they are so close in size that it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to just redo the whole printable. That takes a lot of time, and put it on that A5. It should print just fine to A5 because I know that is hard to find. And letter size usually does pretty well on A4 size. Okay. Our next questions that we had during the webinar. Okay, so maybe Megan can answer these. Somebody wants to know what style of labels you use for printing. I think they meant those circle sheets. Are they full sheets or does Avery have specific dot labels that you use?
Yeah, let me actually grab an empty sheet so you can see. And I've got tons of these stickers.
And I love how you printed those out and put them in your binder so you have everything right there together. That is such a good idea.
So essentially, I will go grab, because I've got them right here, but here's how they look once they're all printed.
And everything's color coordinated. I just love that, like how you coordinated the little stickers with your categories.
So here, I think I just labeled my label files. So here's what they look like unprinted. So they're Avery 6450 labels, and everything is literally formatted so that all you have to do is load that into your printer, however your printer loads, and then they print right out. And then all I did to make them look like this is you just peel off this paper backing. I've got my sleeping baby in
Okay, yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but those are circles like pre-cut on that paper.
I'm close enough. But yeah, they're pre-printed. Here, let me pull that off.
Yeah, so all you have to do is like load that page into your printer and then they'll print out like circles.
Yes, there you go. So I just pulled the extra and they're circles. So
yeah, I like the idea of pulling that off so you can see those really well. Okay.
It's super easy to just pull those off.
Another question, do you do your freezer and pantry inventory once a week? Or
I will, so I try to maintain my inventories as I use things, because I feel like it's more work to have to go back. And so this binder's always on my counter, whether I'm meal planning or it's there for that night's dinner session. So if I pull out, so let me just find a good example. So I only have one thing of pesto pasta sauce. So if I pull it out of the freezer and use it, I'll just flip over to this page because it's right here. 1/ means that I have it, and then if I put an X through it, it means that I've used it. Let's say I make it again. A couple weeks later or a month later, I make that same pesto sauce. All I need to do is just add another /. Let's say I add 2 more servings to the freezer. And then as I use them, I just pull it out and X through it. So next time I sit down at my meal plan and we're having pesto pasta, I don't need to buy the ingredients for the sauce because I see that I have 1 serving of sauce, or 2 servings, 1 kind of container of sauce in the freezer. So I try to do it as I use things, because otherwise it just kind of, like anything else, kind of spirals out of control, and then you don't keep up with it, I guess.
Yeah, I do the same thing when I use a freezer inventory, and that's really about the only thing. I haven't used the pantry or the fridge. I like to keep it. Sometimes I have one laminated and stuck on my the side of my refrigerator with magnets. So as I go, I can just check off what I've used, and just it always stays up to date. And it takes like one, I keep a marker really handy in a kitchen drawer, so it takes like 5 extra seconds to mark it off. And freezer is helpful because, at least for me, my freezer, it's really hard to organize well, and I also have a little mini deep freeze, and it's hard, like things can get lost in there so easily. So I like to know what I have in there. Somebody asked, are your printables for half sizes as well, or just full size?
No, they're currently only full size.
Yes, and I do have, I can pop the link in after I stop talking, but I have a tutorial on my website showing you how to shrink down. So if you have a bigger printable and you want to shrink it down, you can totally do that. It's really easy. You just adjust something in the print settings. The one thing is when you size down, like if you try to take, say, a full size and put it like in a personal size or a really small size, it could become a little bit too small to read or write on. But usually going full to half works okay. And there's just a little bit of extra space. The ratio is not exactly the same. So there's a little bit of extra space at the top and bottom. But if that doesn't bother you, you could totally shrink those down to half size as well. And then, of course, in the club, there's a lot of things already formatted in the half size for you. But not the actual binder pack that Megan was showing you today. Our next question, what is the easiest way to plan lunches and dinner?
Oh, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so the question was, what's the easiest way to plan lunches and dinner?
So I don't think I printed it out. I have, like I said, there's 14 different meal plan layouts in the kit. Here's a bi-weekly, so it's 2 weeks at a time. I have, I think, 2 layouts that have full day, have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. One is a list style, and then one's more like a calendar layout. So I would do the same thing. I would sit down and hash out things in a very similar way. You could, again, use your calendar to populate meetings or lunch outings or mornings that you have to be out the door extra quick, so you need to maybe have refrigerator oatmeal in the refrigerator or something like that. So yeah, I think it's just a little bit more planning, but definitely I literally eat the exact same thing for breakfast every day and almost the exact same thing for lunch every day. So I don't include those things. I add those ingredients as I'm kind of doing my final walkthrough of seeing what we have in the fridge, and we're out of bread, and we're out of oatmeal, and that kind of thing. But yeah, you could essentially use the exact same concept, just use a different worksheet. Again, I don't have an example of it, but use a different worksheet that includes the breakfast and lunch options.
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. And I personally tried planning like lunches and dinners, but I just found that was a lot of different stuff to plan, and also we'd end up with way too many leftovers. And so I eat the same thing for breakfast every single morning, and then a lot of times what I do is I pick one thing for lunch. So like maybe next week it's going to be a salad, and I boil some eggs on Sunday and have some grilled chicken in the freezer, that I can make myself a salad. And then if we happen to have leftovers that I want to eat, I can eat those too. So that keeps it really simple for me. But there's a lot of different ways to do that. And I like that you also provide options. So if you wanted to plan your lunches, there's printables where you could plan those as well.
And just piggybacking off of that too, if you wanted to kind of get into the habit of eating leftovers for dinner, you could incorporate that into your meal planning in the same way that I kind of doubled the ingredients for meatloaf for the freezer. You could always make 1.5 amounts of a recipe or double the recipe and plan it for leftovers the rest of the week. So in the same way that you denote on your shopping list to make double for the freezer, you could make double for lunch leftovers and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I usually do plan leftovers for dinner because I've found it's just me and my husband. We have a 2-year-old and a 10-month-old who still doesn't really eat solids. So, it's just really 2 of us eating and a toddler. And so if I cook a meal every day, we do have leftovers. So I've just learned to plan those in, and then it's kind of like a break from cooking that night. So you can definitely plan leftovers in if you know you'll have a lot. Let's see if there's another question. Okay. Oh, I really like this question. She says, do you put new recipes in the binder or somewhere different until you try it first?
So in my old meal planning system, I had a whole system for new recipes. I will admit, in the season of life I am in right now, I am basically cooking what I know and I can get done quickly. I would say either. You could put it in the front or in the back, kind of in those extra page protectors. You could create a divider that says recipes to try. In fact, a great way to do that would be then to add one of those every week. And then if you like it, then you could add it to the category that it works in. Yeah, or you could add it right in, and then, I don't know, I think it's always good to kind of flip through maybe, once every 6 months or once every year and kind of pull out things that you're not making anymore. You could then kind of add it at that point, take it out at that point if you find that you didn't like it after all or didn't make it.
Yeah, I like that advice. And kind of what I did in the club, if you join the club, I can go ahead and show you really quick where to find it. If you go to the bonuses, I have a whole workshop right here, the Organize Your Recipes workshop, where I talk about, it's all about recipe organizing, and I cover like finding new recipes and both tried and true recipes and finding new recipes to try, because I do like to try a lot of new recipes. And what I kind of do is I don't add them. I might print them out. I like to print. I like to work from, like when I'm actually cooking, I like to work from printed recipes, but I won't add it into my binder unless we like the recipe and I know I want to make it again, because I just don't see any reason to have a recipe in my binder that I'm not going to make again. And I want to make sure I really like the recipe. Okay, I think that's about all of the questions. If anybody has any last minutes, go ahead and pop them in the chat box. I loved having you guys. If somebody says, okay, I have to share a little, like I have to do a little confession here, because somebody said, off topic, Laura, will you come and organize my house? I love your setup. So I assume they're talking about like the organized shelf back there. Okay, well, true confession, before the webinar started, when I was getting ready to call Megan, there was a whole bunch of junk back here and on the edge of that table, and I just scooted it out of the video. So video and pictures can hide a lot. So I definitely do not have everything always organized, and this is my own office, and it is usually the last to get attention. So yeah, that is the truth. So don't feel bad if you also have some parts of your home that are not perfectly organized. Somebody just got home and said, will there be a replay? There will. We'll try to send it out within the next like hour or two. And yeah, we'll send that out within the next hour or two, and it'll be available only until Sunday night. So if you do want to watch anything again, make sure you do that right away, and then the replay will go into the club. And if you join the club, you'll be able to watch it whenever you want. Okay, I think there's one more question that I see, and then I think that's it. Someone said, "Have you ever used a service like Plan to Eat?"
I am not.
Do you know what that is?
That brand. I did try one. I can't remember what it's called now. I'm guessing that's maybe a service that you can select your recipes and it pre-prints all the ingredients and recipes and that kind of thing for the week. When I first tried it, I loved it. I loved that I didn't have to flip through books and it just pre-populated this beautiful grocery list for me. I have to say I didn't like it for a couple of reasons. One is it felt like a duplication of effort. The list that they pre-printed didn't match the way I kind of moved through my grocery store. So I felt like I was constantly forgetting things, shopping from their list. And then I felt like I had to have two lists because I had their pre-printed list, and then I had to have like my cereal and my milk and all of our usual stuff that we buy that weren't related to the recipes. And then kind of like Laura had mentioned, I felt like I was shopping for all of these recipes, all of these random ingredients that I wouldn't normally have. And I had so much random stuff, and I actually felt like our grocery bills were higher. I will admit I only tried it for probably a month. That was just kind of my personal experience, that I actually thought that was going to be my everything and had planned this whole blog series around it. And I felt like it was making more work for me than actually doing my own thing. So that's my personal experience. Yeah,
I've also tried, I think I've actually tried Plan to Eat. I do have a blog post for a long time ago on my blog about my experience with it. And I liked it overall, except one of the problems that I had was, so I do like the concept a lot. Number one, I am just a pencil and paper person. Like, I just love like getting out a pen and like writing it down, and something about that helps me like remember it. And I couldn't, I do some things digitally, like I have my like calendar of appointments on my phone. I think that's necessary for some things, but I just couldn't get over, like, I really like having like pencil and paper. And I also, one of the problems I had was it ended up being more work than I thought it should have been in theory, because you can add in recipes from the web, and I like to do that. I don't like to use like pre-made, recipe suggestions. I like to add my own, and then you're supposed to be able to import them easily, but it never works perfectly. And so you end up having to, match things up and add in ingredients. And then the other thing, and this was probably me being a little bit too particular about it, but it drove me crazy that, like, if, for example, one recipe said 2 cloves of garlic and one recipe said 2 garlic cloves, the system would count those as 2 different things on the menu or on the grocery list, and that really drove me crazy. So then I would spend all this time going to each recipe and standardizing what things were called. And then I was like, actually, it would be faster for me to just write a grocery list. But I mean, I definitely know people who have used Plan to Eat and services like that. I think they have both ones where you can do your own recipes and some where they kind of give you the meal plan and you just like follow it. And I think those definitely work great for some people. So it's just a matter of like what you like and your preferences. And I think you might find, like I have in like the past 5 years of my life since I started this blog, that I might like menu plan in one way for a year and it's working great. But as life changes, like when I started this blog, I'm full-time outside the home and had no kids, and now I work for myself from home and have 2 kids. So life is just really different, and what we eat has changed. I've really tried to eat healthier over the years. I guess as I got older, I was more concerned about that, and so what we eat has changed, and just how I need to plan and who I need to plan for. So I think it's totally fine to like try things, and sometimes I feel like I just get bored with something, and so trying something new gives me like remotivates me to make it fun again. So, a couple more questions, and I think this one's really good. I actually wondered this, and I forgot to ask it. Do you use an Avery label for the print freezer, and do you have any problems with them coming off?
So, yes and yes. So,
okay.
Probably mentioned that. So let me find them. So I use I don't know them off the top of my head. Hold on. They are Avery 5264 labels, and they're rectangles, so they just go right through the printer. Now these are permanent labels, so I have stuck them straight to my Tupperwares and then spend hours, not kidding, not really, but a long time scrubbing the residue off when I want to put something else. So what I've actually started doing is covering, if you put something in a casserole dish that's maybe got a plastic cover, I'll put tinfoil over the casserole dish itself, put the label on the casserole dish, and then put the plastic cover on, and not stick these to my actual dishes. Or if it's something that's can freeze flat in a Ziploc bag, I'll put this right on the Ziploc bag. So yes, the residue on these labels, they're designed, the Avery 5164, work great. I love the size of them, and they're really easy to find, but they will leave residue on your glass and plastic dishes.
Okay, yeah, good to know. I have like freezer tape. Like there's tape you can buy on Amazon. It's not that expensive, that you can write on and stick it on things. It's not nearly as pretty. I loved those labels, but it does work pretty well. Like it stays on in the freezer, and I haven't found it to leave a residue. So yeah. Although I think if you put those on Ziploc bags, which I do a lot of, like I cook up meat ahead of time, like I just fry up a couple pounds and put 1 pound in a Ziploc bag. Obviously, if it leaves a residue, I don't care. I just throw the bags away.
Exactly, yep.
Somebody said a Scrub Daddy will get rid of the residue. And somebody else said if you use them over and over, you can laminate them.
Yep.
Good ideas. Okay, so I think I've gotten most of the questions, and I'm so glad you guys were here to hang out with us today and talk about meal planning. I know I feel inspired, and I had better sign off to go feed I have a 10-month-old baby boy upstairs. So yeah, he'll need to be eating pretty soon. So anyway, it was so good to hang out with you all, and I hope you enjoyed. And be sure, if you want to get the meal planning pack, go ahead and click that green button that says, yes, I want to join the club, and you can get it right away. Thank you.